Yes boys, what's happening? Hope we're all keeping well, hope all's good. We are just getting started with a pull session today. Going to quickly take you through it all, give you a couple of pointers, give you a couple of tips and tricks to help you with your execution and your form, and just help you get a little bit more out of your sessions. So yeah, let's get stuck in, and we are starting off with weighted pull-ups. Right, so we're going to get into this pretty quick because we are quite caught on time. What I always do, always start off with 1 or 2 bodyweight warm-ups, just to get a bit of blood flowing. Then what I'll do is I'll build up to my working weight sets and get straight into it. So yeah, just going to start off now with a quick little warm up, and I'll see you all in a minute when we hit this top set. So when it comes to your pull-ups or any sort of weighted pull-up, boys, you always want to make sure you're keeping that chest up nice and proud. You want to make sure as well you're actually going through a full range of motion. An awful lot of lads add heaps and heaps away, and then they're stopping about 3 or 4 inches away from the bottom of the reps. You want to make sure you're fully lengthening the arms, get that deep stretch on your back, and make sure as well, when you do go to the top of the reps, that you're actually getting all the way up there, getting that full contraction on. At least that way then, you get the most out of your back. For all you shore kings out there, make sure you set up J-hooks just to use it as a step up. No way. Right, so that is set number 1 done. We got 2 sets here on pull-ups, and that'll be more than enough for me. One thing I see time and time again when it comes to my client check-ins is just real inconsistent progressions inside of the gym. And a lot of the time it's not down to their volume, their recovering capacities, or anything like that. It's just down to minor little details that they're not nailing down on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. If it is the thing that you want to make sure your numbers are trending up inside the gym week after week, you want to make sure you're nailing down the basics, your sleep, getting your 7 to 9 hours, making sure you're getting enough hydration into you prior to your session. You want to make sure as well, you're also nailing down your meal timing, getting enough carbs in prior to your workout, and make sure as well, caffeine timing's on point. And one of the most important things a lot of people are not nailing down is rest periods in between sets. If it is the thing that you're going to the gym, you're taking 1 minute rest sometimes, 3 minutes another time, of course your numbers are going to be all over the shop. Make sure you keep that standardized, and it'll make such a difference to your sessions. Fuck. One question I get asked time and time again is how do you determine what grip to take on the bar? When it comes to your pull-ups, you always want to make sure, guys, that you are taking a grip that allows you to have your wrist and your elbow stacked in a straight line when you were at the top of a rep. If it's the thing that your wrists are falling too far inwards, you're going a bit too narrow, so just make sure you nail that, and it'll allow you to generate a hell of a lot more force. Right, next up on the list, we got a chest supported T-bar row, and ideally when we're doing this, we are trying to bias now our upper back. When it comes to getting more out of your upper back, what you actually want to do is make sure that you're taking a nice wide grip on the bar. On this machine in particular, we are going grip in here rather than in here. This one in here is usually a little bit more lat bias. And when we are doing our rows, we're actively thinking about flaring them elbows nice and wide. And when we're coming down, we're thinking about coming down as far as we can, allowing the shoulders to protract slightly, get a deep stretch at the bottom, and then go again. Rinse and repeat. Over the last year or so, I've actually gotten weaker pretty much across the board on every single exercise. But over the last year or two, I've also probably built the most amount of muscle I ever have. It's all good and well shifting around as much weight as possible from A to B, but if it is a thing that you're actually trying to bodybuild and you're trying to build your physique, you are likely going to get a hell of a lot more bang for your buck by simply just executing better, training with a bit more accuracy, a bit more intent, and just making sure that you're actually contracting the intended muscle you're supposed to be working. The sooner you start doing that, the sooner you're going to start getting better stimulus out your sessions. Sometimes stripping back that weight has merit, so definitely don't be afraid to do it, especially if it's a thing that you feel like your form has been a little bit shit, a little bit sloppy over the last while. Oh, that was a tough set. One huge mistake I see time and time again is people taking massive rests in between reps, either at the top or the bottom of a rep. If it is the thing, guys, you want to make sure your progressions week to week are nice and steady. Make sure you keep the set continuous. Because if it's things, sometimes you're going in and you're keeping that set continuous, your reps are going to look totally different in the logbook to times where you go in and you're pausing in between every single rep. So just make sure you keep it continuous, keep it standardized. It'll make such a difference. Right, we're moving on to set number 3 now. This is our last set. So we're going to absolutely fucking empty the tank here. Let's go. Ooh. One thing I've started doing a lot lately when it comes to my own training is making my sessions a little bit shorter than what they typically once were. I used to be in the gym for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours some days, and I noticed the first half of my session be absolutely unreal. Second half, I'd be absolutely wiped, I'd be absolutely dead, and I'd have zero focus. What I often find with myself, and even with a lot of clients, is that sometimes less is more. If it is the thing that your workouts have been wank lately, simply just shorten them down, and I guarantee you'll be a lot more focused, a lot more driven, and you'll probably get a lot more out of your sessions because you know you've less work to do and you gotta make it fucking count. Exercise number 3 is going to be a unilateral D-handle cable row. When it comes to setting up this exercise, guys, I would always recommend that you place a plate on the ground like that. Then what you're going to want to do is simply just wedge the bench against it. The reason why I'd encourage you to leave the plate there is because if it's a thing that you don't have a plate on the ground and you are lifting heavy weight, the bench is going to slide forward and it's going to throw you off mid-set. When it comes to the angle of the bench, I'd always recommend setting it close to 90 degrees. And I would encourage you as well, just to set the C height up one click. And at least that way then, when you are doing your reps, you're naturally going to be leaning into that bench and you're going to be able to keep your chest against it a hell of a lot easier. Then, when it comes to cable height setup, what you are going to want to do is set this cable up in a way so that when you are seated down on the bench, the cable is set roughly at shoulder height. Once you got all those bits set in stone, you can obviously get into your set. Whatever side you decide to start working with first, I'd always recommend kicking that leg back, just so that your elbow isn't rubbing against it as you do your row. I'd also recommend using your spare arm and gripping it around the bench, just to keep you locked in position and just to help create a little bit more stability, because the more stability we can create, the more force you're going to be able to generate. Slightly crunch down onto your working side, so that your shoulder, your elbow and your wrist are all stacked in a straight line. And ideally go with a semi-supinated grip, so palms facing halfway up towards the ceiling, we'll say. Lastly then, when you do go to do your row, you want to think about driving your elbow down towards your hip and then back. So it looks like this, down and back. I'd always recommend pausing for a second at both the top and the bottom of reps, just to really fire up your lats. And just make sure when you do go to do your pull, you are not allowing your torso to rotate. Guarantee if you do that, you will get the craziest contractions on your lat, and it'll definitely help you build a really wide back. An awful lot of people say they've got really bad muscle imbalances, especially on the likes of these unilateral movements. But what I've found time and time again to be the truth is that a lot of you guys are simply just not resting in between your sides. If it is the thing that you're constantly starting with your right side, for example, and you were absolutely smashing yourself on that set, and then you jump straight into the other side, of course you're going to be weaker. You're not going to be recovered, you're going to be a little bit fatigued, and as a byproduct, you're going to be weaker. So just make sure you're not jumping straight into that other side. Take a little bit of a rest, catch your breath, and then go. And I guarantee your numbers will be a hell of a lot more accurate and a hell of a lot more even. So we got 2 more sets left on this. On this set in particular, I'm actually going to be sticking with the exact same weight as last week, even though I did max out the rep range. The reason why is just because I just want to make sure I'm making sure my execution is on point, I'm training with accuracy and intent, and I want to make sure that I'm just getting the most out of that lap. I noticed the last day on that last rep that I did, it wasn't 100%, so I just want to clean that up. And then next week, I'll take that progression. And yeah, that is just genuinely one of the biggest mistakes I see people make when it comes to applying progressive overload. If it is the thing that you're just chasing load all of the time, eventually you're going to notice reps get sloppy, execution goes to shit, and then all of a sudden, you can't even feel the muscle that you're actually supposed to be working. Fuck, that was a good set. And that is why I'd recommend doing exactly what I just said. At least that way then, you know your sets are always going to feel good. Next on this is a rear delt fly, and we're doing it on the reverse pec deck today. This is one of the most butchered exercises I see time and time again. So just ensure you're doing it properly. Here's the exact setup to use. You always want to make sure you set the C height up in a way that your chin is basically just resting above the pad. You then want to make sure you're scooting your bum back slightly on the C, just so that way your chest is naturally going to be falling in against the pad. I always encourage people as well to go with a staggered stance. The reason why is just because you feel a little bit more secure in place. When setting up with that stance, always make sure you are wedging your leading leg against the metal beam, and then with the back leg, always make sure you're wedging it hard into that C. Then you just want to make sure you're gripping these inside handles. You want to think about pushing your shoulders as far forward as you can. Ideally, you want your arms dead straight. From there then, you're simply just thinking about reaching out and dragging the weight out away from you. You don't need to go too far back. Just go back as far as what's comfortable for you. Get a good contraction on your rear delts and go again. Ideally, you want to keep them arms dead straight. You don't want any sort of bend coming into play, because if it's the thing you do that, you're just going to be taking tension away from the rear delt and placing it on the tricep instead. Not a chance. Them last reps are always like fucking brick walls. You just get hit by them all of a sudden. Right, and to wrap off the session, we got 2 bicep exercises now. First one is going to be using a straight bar, an adjustable straight bar and D handles. I always recommend that you will get a step and place it underneath you The reason why is just because it's going to allow you to fully lengthen out your arms at the bottom of each rep. You also want to make sure you're standing pretty close in towards the machine. And the main thing you want to think about on this movement is just keeping your upper arms locked in place. Try not allow your elbows to move forward when you are doing your curls. Keep them locked by your sides. As well as that, on this exercise, always make sure you're going with a supinated grip, palms facing up towards the ceiling. And you really want to think about curling your wrists up to your shoulders in a C-like motion. Such a fucking burn off them. If it is a thing that you struggle to connect with your biceps, definitely give that movement a go. Cables are the way forward in my opinion. On that as well, think about screwing your feet into the floor, squeeze your glutes, squeeze your core, and just try and keep that chest upright. Try not to use any momentum, try not to be swinging the weight up. Completely isolate that bicep. Ugh. 25s, where are they? Oh. Right, when it comes to my bicep training recently, what I've actually been focused on doing more so now is just chasing really good execution, really good accurate reps. I'm actually not too worried on any of my isolation exercises anymore in regards to chasing numbers in the logbook. Yes, it's beneficial to progress. Yes, it's beneficial to do more reps, do more weight. But if it is a thing that you are sacrificing your technique, your form, your control, your range of motion, and your joints are just beginning to feel a little bit shit, it's probably not worth it. I've noticed a lot more growth recently by just going off how I feel session to session and just choosing a way that I think is suitable for that particular day. So yeah, typically tend to do that on a lot of isolation work now, but on my heavy compounds, you can be sure I'm fucking chasing numbers in the logbook. Fuck. Right, so we're going to do a quick little physique update just because it's been a while. Definitely not going to be taking off my pants because it's fucking freezing out here. So yeah, just going to do a quick little upper body one. But yeah, that is a wrap for today. If it's the thing you found this video useful, definitely be sure to drop a sub. Also, hit like. Might encourage us to make a couple more YouTube videos. And if it's the thing you'd like to see any topics in particular covered, just drop them in the comments below and I'll get around to them ASAP. Chat to y'all soon.